Hey everyone, welcome to the Lake Michigan Angler Podcast. I'm Rob, this is Michael. Today we're here with Captain Arnie Arredondo and Todd Kalish, the Bureau Deputy Director for Fisheries for the Wisconsin DNR. Todd, thanks for being here. We've been wanting to have you on here for a long time.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
This past year was a phenomenal year. 2023 was a phenomenal summer, spring, summer, and so far fall on Lake Michigan. Some of the best fishing that we've seen in a really long time. I think Arnie.
Yeah, it was just, from the moment you could get a boat in the water in April, for those of us that are out on the lake, the Coho fishing here in the South District was just phenomenal. The guys that were fishing earlier than that, you guys are big kayakers, so the kayaks were out in March, and a lot of small boats, trailer boats, and everybody had the same report that the Coho fishing was phenomenal. That was as soon as you get in the water and get fishing, that was the fuse for the firecracker, really. It's just the beginning of what went on in 2023 so far.
Yeah, we had shore fishermen catching cohos extremely early in the season. Some even the end of January, February, they were catching them, and normally we don't see them until later. At the same time, they were catching browns inside the harbors. I mean, it was good for boaters, shore fishermen, kayakers, good for everybody.
Yeah. And, it was a crazy thing by June, the early part of June, fishing on the whole western shore all the way up to the Door Peninsula was out of control. They were, huge numbers of kings caught, end of May, early June, as far up as Algoma, Sturgeon Bay, going up into the peninsula even. You couldn't find somebody that wasn't catching fish, which is, an awesome thing. And a variety, we had the coals, they had kings. We probably had the kings down here. We just couldn't leave the coals alone. When the coals are that thick, it's hard to try to fish kings. So,
Yeah.
We might have missed a lot of that somehow, which, it's hard to say that when you go out and have the action you do that you miss something, but we might have. From the kayak perspective, April was an unusually great weather month.
Yeah, it was. April. It was weather-wise, it was probably the best April I can remember in a long time.
Yeah,
A lot of calm days, and that was my best year for spring kings out of a kayak. I caught 4 total in the spring, which is not easy to do in the spring in a kayak.
yeah, that's right.
So
normally
it was really good.
we see them out in that deeper 80, 100, 140, when we do catch kings. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So Todd, before we jump into this, it's wonderful that you made time for us. And could you just briefly outline kind of what your role is and what your day-to-day is in your role with the Wisconsin DNR, so people have an idea?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the Fisheries Bureau Deputy Director. I'm based in Madison. I've been in this position for 8 years. And so I'm responsible for managing and overseeing all of the management aspects of Fisheries Bureau throughout the state. So I directly supervise our regional supervisors. We have 5 regional supervisors. One of them's in the Great Lakes. And so I work to assure that we're providing consistent fisheries services and fisheries enhancements and fisheries protection throughout the state, so that everybody that wants to enjoy these world-class resources that we have throughout the state have the opportunity to do so.
With this fishing, 22 was a great year also. Not to overshadow 22. 23 was just, it's kind of off the hook. Todd, what do you think? What can we attribute a lot of this to? Or, what's the catalyst to a lot of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And before we get to that too, I just wanted to talk about the catch rates. You guys are right. Fishing in 2023 and 2022 was fantastic. Everything that you said, we can verify by the numbers. And I think, as you folks know, we do regular assessments of what people are catching. Charter boats are required to report their catch. We also do random creels. We do more boat surveys. We do a lot of different surveys. And just to kind of put some numbers on what you folks were saying, once again, you're right. It's a testament to this world-class fishery, this great fishing we saw in 2023 and 2022. So not all of our catch estimates are complete yet. We're still in the 2023 year, but we do have records from charter boats, and just some of the preliminary data, just to kind of put some numbers what you folks are saying. The Chinook catches for the last 3 years have been great. And in 2023, it's really good as well. In 2023, we're approaching 40,000 fish for the year, and hopefully we'll go over that. And we haven't seen a catch of, and this is for charter boats only, but we haven't seen a catch of 40,000 fish from charter boat anglers since 2014.
Wow.
It's just amazing. Coho, really strong the last 3 years, as you folks were saying. The 2022 and 2023 were extremely strong years, and this is just for charter boat data. What we've got to date yet, but 2022 and 2023. The charter boats registered over 30,000 fish, and we're still counting for 2023. And since 1986, when we started collecting a lot of these records, we've only had a handful of years where charter boats have caught over 30,000 fish. There hasn't been more than 10 in all of those years. And so 2022, 2023 were just spectacular years. And lake trout this year has been up. We've as of today, the charter reports. Folks have caught 1,000 more lake trout than we caught in 2022. And, one of the things that I think is really important, and I don't want to go on too long here, but one of the things I think is really important, and you folks mentioned, you mentioned this too, is the diversity of the fishery out there. And that's one of the real take-home messages. And that's one of the things that we really strive to do is provide a diverse fishery of salmon and trout, so that folks don't have to rely on catching just one species. You can rely on a diversity of fish. You can go out there and catch Chinook, Coho, and we strive to promote a fishery throughout the entire fishing season. And you folks were hinting on that. The good fishing in the spring, good fishing in the summer, in the fall, and so those are some great things, great trends that we're seeing since in the last 3 years. So just wanted to add some numbers to some of the things that you folks were saying. You're 100% on target with what you've been seeing out there. It matches really closely with the data we're collecting.
That's incredible numbers when you think about it. Now, how long ago was it when they did the increase? Because you were alluding to that when they did the stocking increase, they kind of went up on that. What year was that, Todd? Do you remember? Are these numbers?
Yeah.
From that time period? Are we seeing the results of those stockings, the increase? Is that what that is?
Some of it, so we haven't fully evaluated everything from that management plan. So that management plan was from 2020 through 2022. Okay. And so in 2020 we increased stocking of every species except for lake trout. We decreased lake trout. We increased Chinook to 1.2 million, Coho to 500,000, Steelhead to 460,000, brown trout to 450. Reduced lake trout to 45,000. And one thing we're real excited about is we introduced, once again, brook trout stocking at 50,000.
There's so many new fishermen. Like, I used to catch the brook trout when I was a kid, and then they went away for a few years. Now we have all these new fishermen on Lake Michigan that never even realized that there were brook trout, and they used to get really big, and they're really cool fish to catch.
Yeah, we're really excited about that as well. And back to what Arnie was asking about too. What do we think some of the reasons for these spectacular fisheries are? And it's a myriad of things. Stocking is important, but it's not the only thing that contributes to the fishery. And prior to 2020, we had, I don't remember, over 10 public meetings. We met with numerous groups throughout Lake Michigan watershed, and we've worked on what we feel is a really comprehensive plan to protect and enhance the Lake Michigan fishery. And we're just getting started. Stocking was one thing. We did increase stocking of all those species that I mentioned. We also increased the net pen initiative. We had 2 or 3 additions to the net pens. We were conducting some additional surveys that the folks brought up that we should likely do. We're doing more outreach and education. We're pursuing a variety of habitat enhancement projects. And so the 2020 through 2022 plan was a really comprehensive plan that included stocking and a lot of other things to help maintain and build the spectacular fishery that we have in Lake Michigan.
Pretty much all the harbors now have net pens, is that correct?
Almost, yeah. It's what do we got? 9 locations now. It's Gills Rock, Marinette, Algoma, Kewanee, Port Washington, Milwaukee, Racine, Sheboygan, and Kenosha. I believe those are, yeah. So it's, most of the major harbors we've got net pens. Yeah.
Explain a little bit about how that one worked, because been asked a lot of times about it.
The Net Pen Initiative is an initiative. It's what we feel is a very, very productive and beneficial collaboration between the DNR and anglers and groups that are just interested in enhancing the fishery that we have, and so we work with groups, and these groups aren't paid. They don't have paid by the DNR. They have to come up with funds to build net pens, so pens that they put in harbors. And they do this through a variety of ways, fundraising initiatives, and they put these net pens in the harbors prior to stocking in the spring, and DNR, instead of stocking Chinook salmon directly into a river or Lake Michigan, will stock into the net pen. And one of the other things we did in prior to 2020 is we increased the amount of time that fish can be allowed to be in a net pen to 3 weeks. So the primary goal and the reason for net pens, well, there's a few of them. One is to hold the fish in a particular area longer, so that they acclimate to that particular area, and if they acclimate to it, then they'll have a better propensity to come back to that area to reproduce, and produce a fishery when they come back. The other reason is to get the fish bigger before they actually go out into Lake Michigan. As you folks know, there's a lot of predators in Lake Michigan, so the bigger we stock fish, the better chance of survival that they have. So these volunteers at these 9 locations, we provide them with fish food, but they feed the fish in the net pens once they get in the net pens on an appropriate schedule. And then they release them when it's an appropriate time. The other benefit of net pens too that we've seen is potential decreased predation from predatory birds. Because you can release them at different times. You can release them at night. You can release them at different times. And so the Net Pen Initiative has been a really effective, we feel, really effective collaboration. We enhanced it in 2020, and we'll be doing a review of the Net Pen Initiative in early 2024. We're collecting a lot of data on the net pens. We're going to bring all the net pen collaborators into a meeting, talk about the successes that we've had, and talk about the results that we've seen from the Net Pen Initiative over the years.
What dictates when you put the fish in the pens, like the age of the fish, if they're a month old or 2 months old? Is it by the size of the fish? When do you decide to put them in the pen?
Yes, typically by the size. And so within our hatchery system, we're constantly moving fish in and out. And so with Chinook salmon, they're stocked at a relatively small size, but Chinook salmon are a little bit differently than like Coho and Steelhead and brown trout, because Chinook salmon are stocked as what we call fingerlings, so 3 to anywhere from 2 to 4 inches in length. And when we stock them into the net pens, they can grow, any little bit helps. Basically, the bigger they are, the better the chance that they're going to have to survive out there.
I understand they used a couple of them just to hold fish for the afternoon, and then let them go toward dark. And that's primarily bird predation, correct?
Right.
Yeah, that I think is a big thing. If they
Definitely,
we can just let them go that last half hour of daylight once all the birds seem to have gone to roost, and especially with the increase in these cormorants we have, especially in this area.
Are you penning any species besides the Chinook?
Not currently, no.
I know there's been a lot of stuff going on over the last several years. One of them was the facilities. So like a lot of these fish are raised in wild rows, correct?
Yeah. So there's actually there's 4 hatcheries that support Lake Michigan stocking. It's the Lake Mills hatchery, the Kettle Marine Springs, Wild Rose, and then we've got a Brule hatchery up north too. But yeah, you're right. Many of the fish that are stocked into Lake Michigan, primarily the Chinook and Coho, come from Wild Rose. Yep.
And then the Kettle Marine, that's the one that has gone through a pretty good renovation. Is it a renovation or is it like a new project? Actually.
Yeah, I think you could say a little bit of both. So Kettle Moraine Springs, that's our primary facility for raising steelhead for stocking into Lake Michigan. And prior to the renovation, it was in significant disrepair. There were some cracks in our raceways. We were losing fish into the earth. It was in pretty bad shape. And so we received a variety of funds from the legislature and from the state budget, and and we have almost completely renovated that facility. That facility is now operational, which I'm just so happy to say. There's fish in there. There's steelhead in the facility as we speak. The renovations have greatly increased the efficiency, the effectiveness, the water quality, wastewater treatment plant, everything involved regarding Kettle Moraine Springs has been significantly upgraded. One of the neat things about the upgraded too was that Kettle Moraine Springs is actually several hatcheries, so you can quarantine off the big hatchery into a different hatchery, so you can bring fish in from the wild and keep certain fish segregated. So it's quite the facility, and we definitely recommend if you have a chance and you're in the area, call up the supervisor Andy Huron out there, and he'd be glad to give you a tour and show you some of the really great enhancements that have been done there over the past several years.
While we're talking about that, people can visit. Are there any opportunities for people to volunteer to help? Maybe is there any opportunities for that at all?
I don't know if there's any opportunities specifically at the hatcheries.
Okay.
But I know that there are opportunities at the net pens.
Okay.
Folks are always looking for help at the net pens, and those folks that do that, a lot of them, they treat those net pens like members of their family. They don't want to see the fish die any more than anybody else does, and they're up late hours at night. And I know that a lot of folks can use some assistance at some of those areas.
Yeah, that would be getting involved in your local clubs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kenosha's got the Sport Fishing Conservation, Racine Salmon Unlimited. They're Milwaukee, GLSI, Ozaki. I mean, just go up the lake. So, that's a great opportunity. I know Kenosha, just speaking from Kenosha, the effort that went into the net pen was enormous. And it always takes a few guys to jump on, but it's amazing how many people want to help, like you say, that just don't know how to.
Yeah.
Sheboygan, another one that came out really strong. Kenosha and Sheboygan were one of the last ones I know. But they really came on strong fast, and Sheboygan has quite a nice setup. Great Kenosha's is incredibly nice. So yeah, pretty cool stuff that somebody can just drive down and see, and someone's feeding them and all that. Yeah. So Todd, right now it's fall time, and you guys are all the data's kind of rolled in from the summer, and what else is going on right now? Eggtake is going on, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've always got something going on. So we just recently wrapped up Chinook salmon Eggtake, and now we're currently in the process of collecting eggs from Coho to support future year stocking. Yeah, and so we'll be taking eggs this week and likely next week as well.
How did the Chinook Eggtake go?
Chinook Eggtake, yep, it went well. We took all of the eggs that we thought that we would need, and we actually took some extra, and so yeah, where the Chinook Eggtake it went well.
What's the process on the Eggtake? I know in Racine we have the Steelhead facility there. What do they do there? They collect the fish, and what's the whole process before the fish end up in the hatchery?
Yeah, it's a really unique process, and it's a really fascinating process. And this is, once again, I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but if anybody is interested in seeing the process, we really encourage you to go to one of our Eggtake weirs. We welcome the public to go down and watch these activities unfold. At the weirs that we have for salmon Eggtake, so Coho salmon, Chinook salmon, they have a lifespan of anywhere from 3 to 6 years. And when they mature, they lay their eggs and then they die. And they typically return to lay eggs in the stream where they were either naturally raised or born or stocked. And so at our Strawberry Creek facility and some of the facilities, we collect returning Chinook and Coho salmon that are returning to spawn, and we bring them into our facility, and we like I said, it's best to see it in person if you if you can. But we strip the eggs from the females, and we strip the milt from the males, and the eggs are fertilized in buckets. And then we put them in what we call incubation chambers, and we water harden the eggs. And water harden means that they're relatively hardy. So once they're water hardened, which takes several hours, then they're transported to our hatcheries, and they're raised in our hatcheries. For Chinook salmon, they're raised until the next spring and then stocked out. But for Coho salmon, they're raised longer. They're raised until they're yearlings, so they're raised in the hatcheries for a year. But this is a really unique process and procedure. One of the things with fisheries and with all of our stakeholders, we all have the same goal. We all want to put fish into Lake Michigan that are going to have the greatest chance of survival. I'm going to have the greatest chance for some angler to catch them out there. And one of the ways to do that is to put fish back into Lake Michigan that were already there. So these fish are the progeny of their their parents that have grown up in Lake Michigan, and so they have the best genetics. They have the best chance to survive and be caught by anglers after they've been stocked by us.
Todd, let me ask you a question while we're talking about the fishery here. As far as the industry goes, in terms of money generated from anything related to sport fishing here on Lake Michigan, or is it just in Wisconsin, or is it lake wide? Do you have those numbers?
We've got a variety of numbers. So we don't have numbers real specific to Lake Michigan, but we're working on it. Okay. But just on that line of that train of thought, fishing is a big business. Sport fishing annually in the state generates $2.3 billion in economic benefits to the state. It supports 22,000 jobs in the state. We don't have that number for Lake Michigan, but I'll get to that in a second. We've got an initiative to get it, but we do have those numbers for Green Bay. Green Bay Fishery contributes $264 million annually to the regional economy. Wow. Annually provides over 2,700 full-time jobs. There are communities, wonderful communities throughout the lakeshore that rely in some way, shape, or form, or not from a majority way, shape, or form on this fishing industry as to keep them afloat. And so sport fishing is a big business, and it's critical. It's critical to help sustain and thrive our local coastal communities in Lake Michigan.
I know we saw a lot of new fishermen the last couple of years on Lake Michigan. A lot of people coming into the store just wanting to learn how to do it. They've never caught a salmon before. They're outfitting boats. I mean, it's been a pretty consistent theme for us here, and that's kind of what we've done is help people catch fish and teach them how to do it. Have you seen on the DNR's end an increase in participation on Lake Michigan?
We have, and thanks for that comment too, because we hear that a lot too from folks. They say, "Oh man, if they don't fish Lake Michigan already, we hear, it's daunting. The lake's huge. How can I go out in Lake Michigan and catch a fish?" And so, thank you for helping people get involved and make it less daunting. Because we really feel that there's something for everybody on Lake Michigan. We've already got 140 some thousand anglers that fish Lake Michigan and Lake Superior, but we can have more. It really provides, Lake Michigan provides an optimal opportunity for whatever anybody is interested in, if you're interested in catching a trophy and putting it on the wall, there's opportunities for you. If you're interested in catching a healthy meal for you and your family, there's opportunities for you. If you're looking for a family friendly, wholesome, thing to do on Lake Michigan, there's things for you to do as well. That's why I think we have a world-class fishery. We have such a diverse fishery, so many different types of salmon, so many different types of trout. We've got this brook trout initiative now. We also you can fish the big lake, you can fish the piers, you can fish the harbors, you can fish the rivers, and we've also have Green Bay, one of the world-class walleye fishery, the muskie fishery, bass fishery, and so there's so much to offer in Lake Michigan. And sorry, I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. In terms of the numbers, yes, I get excited when we talk about Lake Michigan, but yes, so the numbers, yes, we keep a track, obviously, of license sales, and anybody that is younger than 16, older than 16 and older has to buy a fishing license in the state. And we saw a bump in license sales during COVID in 2020 and 2021. So those are the highest years we've seen. So, in the last 4 years, we've seen some of the highest license sales we have ever seen. 2020 and 2021 were amazing, and it dropped a little bit in 2022 from the high of 2020, but we're trending up. We're trending up. As of right now, we just got the most recent numbers in from folks that buy a Great Lakes stamp, and you have to have a stamp to fish trout and salmon on Lake Michigan. We're at 141,521 right now, and that's higher than any year in the last 8 years, except for during the COVID year. So yes, we're trending up.
That's pretty incredible. I've fished the Pacific Northwest for salmon. I'm sure you guys have fished in other regions that are known for salmon. Todd, let me ask you this. If you had to make the case for anybody that's not in our area, not in our region, that's outside, that might be in some of these other areas, what would you say is unique about our salmon fishing experience here on Lake Michigan, the Great Lakes, compared to like the PNW or in Alaska or some of these other, salmon, established salmon fisheries around the country or world for that matter?
Yeah, great question. I'm biased, but I would argue that our fishery in Lake Michigan and Lake Superior as well is unparalleled throughout the country, primarily for a variety of reasons. One is because of the diversity of fish species that we have, these world-class fishing opportunities. Like I said, you can catch some these amazing Chinook salmon, Coho salmon, and trout in Lake Michigan, and you can drive a short distance to Green Bay and catch world record muskie, and you also have year-round fishing opportunities. So we've got ice fishing opportunities, in Green Bay for whitefish and things like that. And on the other reason I would say that we're really world class is because of the diversity of opportunities that we offer. You don't have to have really specialized equipment. You don't have to have put a lot of money into buying a big boat. If you do, that's great. But if you don't have to have that, some of the places you mentioned, it's hard to get involved in the fishery if you don't have a lot of resources. But in this state, there are so many diverse options to fish Lake Michigan fish. Like I said, from piers, harbors, inland water bodies. In Green Bay, the resources at your fingertips in Wisconsin. And then, the final thing I'll say is I like I said, I'm biased, but I feel that we have some of the best, unique, diverse communities, coastal communities that you can find anywhere in the country. Some of these areas, whether the Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee, Kewanee, Sturgeon Bay, Algoma, Green Bay. You folks have all been to those towns. Those towns are amazing. They're amazing restaurants, amazing places to stay, pristine beaches. We really offer something for everybody 365 days a year.
How does Lake Michigan rank as far as tourism goes compared to other lakes and just other areas of the state?
Yeah, so in Wisconsin, Lake Michigan is by far the number one visited water body in the state. by far. And probably for good reason. We have 400 some miles of shoreline, so it's a very large lake. And so in terms of the tourism, and thank you for asking that, because another thing that we're really excited about is UW Green Bay and UW Whitewater are currently in the process of conducting a Wisconsin Lake Michigan economic study. And that study will specifically answer that question that you just asked with numbers behind it. UW Whitewater and UW Green Bay were the ones that did the economic analysis in Green Bay in 2018 and 2019. And having that data, having that information is just so important, because, in the last several years, I've worked more with chambers of commerce, tourism industries, economic development agencies, and because what we do greatly impacts their mission as well. And so, but we need to have the data and we need to have the numbers. And so we're really excited about that study, for Green Bay and Whitewater to be pursuing that. And we're excited to see the results. So I'm sorry, I don't have a specific answer for you, but I can say it's on the way and it's coming.
So based off of that, Todd, my takeaway is that when those numbers, those reports, the research is done, that seems to give you guys a lot of leverage. They understand the importance of you guys and your department managing these fisheries because of the economic impact. Does that help you guys in getting the things you need and the resources to further and expand and just do the things you guys want to do to maintain or grow what we're doing?
Absolutely. And not just us either. We want to be able to, sustainably grow this industry. Have more charter boats out there, have more tackle companies, shops out there, have more restaurants support all the anglers. We really want, we really want to get the word out and the message out that fishing doesn't just benefit people that are interested in fishing. Fishing benefits local communities, regional communities. It benefits the entire state. And spreading that message, spreading that word is very important, because it, like I said, like you said, it helps all of us get the resources that we need to help protect and enhance the world-class resources that we have.
We're very fortunate, and even more so specifically in our area where we are, kind of in that northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin border area, where throughout the year we just have fish. We're very fortunate. And when you look at like across the lake, they'll have fish come and go. They'll have periods of time where they don't have any around, and they gripe and say all the Wisconsin guys got our fish, all that stuff. Would you happen to have an idea as to why we tend to have fish as much as we do throughout the period that we do on our side? Is there any thought on that as well? It's always been a curious thought, like what is it about our side that just
makes it so consistent?
Yeah. And I don't know if there's an answer for it, but it is a curious thought, right? Like we're very fortunate.
I mean, a big part of it though is we're on the western side of a lake, and it's kind of known, isn't it, Todd, that a lot of the bait ends up on this side. We have southerly, westerly winds in summer. We've got the right prevailing wind, and that's one thing that I think gets overlooked a lot, is the consistency that this lake provides. Literally, if you're not afraid to drive 2 hours, there's somewhere there's fish on Lake Michigan on our side on the western shore. Pretty hard to beat that. You just have to pay attention to where they're at, and guess what? You can be in the middle of them. When you were talking about like the difference between the Pacific Northwest, and I think our consistency is what really pushes us over the top. They get them, but when they get them, they have a window they have to jump through. We were a little spoiled here.
We are. We are.
This year especially, like Rob was saying, we were talking about it, Todd. Before work, he was going out and they were catching their 10 fish, and 8 of them were kings every morning.
Yeah, be in the shop by 8:30 and everything's filleted and put away, the boat's cleaned. We went out fishing for 2.5, 3 hours, and we'd catch our 10 to 15 fish, depending on how many people are in the boat. And we were specifically targeting kings. Like a lot of the guys are kind of stuck, fixated on the cohos. And we were just fishing for kings, and we would limit out faster than them in a lot of days. It was just incredible. To have 15 fish and 10 or 12 of them kings in a couple hours and be at work by 8:30 in the morning. Like, I don't think he could catch them any faster.
So now when he catches 8, well, all we hear about is how tough it got.
I know.
Well, after that happened, he would come in the next day. Oh, we only got like 7. Like 7? That's good. No, we had 13 the other day. Like, oh God, you're so spoiled.
They had 15 bites. He didn't tell you they missed that.
Yeah, that's what I got to deal with over here.
Wisconsin not only has world-class fisheries, Wisconsin has world-class anglers. Just the fact that we're sitting around table talking about all this stuff today, and we just scratched the surface of some of the amazing things that we're doing in Wisconsin. I feel we're setting the bar in terms of how we work together collaboratively. All the different angler groups out there, all the folks that are dedicating their time. There's no way DNR could do this all on our own. We wouldn't want to. We learn from anglers out there. We get your thoughts, we get your ideas. You're helping us. We're collaborating. We're all in this together. And so just one thing I'd like to leave everybody with is it's not just world-class fisheries, and the reason we have world-class fisheries is because of the world-class folks that are committed to protecting and enhancing this resource for current and future generations. So that's just one thing that that's really important. Another thing that I'm personally really excited about is earlier this year, we got a $1.3 million grant to create and carry out a marketing, education, and outreach campaign for Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. And we learned a lot of things while doing that. We're still doing it. And one of the things that's really important to me is continuing that initiative, continuing that effort. $1.3 million is the most we've ever spent on outreach for Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. I think that initiative would be a failure if we didn't build on that, continue to do everything we can to market this amazing fishery that we have in this state, to get folks that don't currently use it to drive over to Lake Michigan and experience the wonderful fishery that we have, or folks from out of state to do it. And so as a fisheries biologist, talking about marketing, outreach, and education is a little bit it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. And so one of the things that you folks are going to be hearing me say more and more is we need help. We'd really like to work and partner with all the great folks we work with to think of some unique and creative ideas to really just get the word out there, let folks know that it's an amazing fishery we have, and education. Get more folks involved. Folks that never would think of going fishing in the past. Taking the kids free fishing days. Help some kids out, and those types of things are things that we feel are really important, and especially to sustain this fishery into the future. We're enjoying it right now, but we want folks beyond us to enjoy this to the greatest extent possible. So yeah, those are just a few things that we're really excited about at DNR right now.
Remember last year when we had like that amazing coho? Like, they were just crazy big. Is there anything that you guys could shine a light on as to what that was? Was it just an anomaly? Because it was so crazy.
Their condition factor goes up and down, based on forage availability. And we've been seeing upticks. We've been seeing some positive signs in the forage basin, Lake Michigan. You folks I'm sure you keep track and follow the predator prey ratio and the alewife surveys and things like that. And we've been seeing some positive signs. We're seeing some good year classes of alewives come out. Yeah. 2021 was good. We're seeing some good signs in 2023. And so, if fish are big, it means they've got more to eat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Speaking of the alewife, what was it? Was it 2021 when we saw them had that big die off?
Oh, in the summer, yeah. It was 21.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that was the first time it happened in a while that it was so.
It'd been a few years.
Wow, yeah.
It used to be a regular thing.
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
almost like a sign of more alewives in the lake
Yeah.
because when there were more alewives, you saw
It
more
happened.
die-offs.
Yeah, was that a good thing for you guys to see? I guess.
Do you like seeing dead fish, Todd? Do you like seeing dead fish?
Yeah.
Michael,
I'm gonna leave now.
no more cough medicine. Gee.
Oh, done. Take it away, guys.
Hey Todd, in 22 in this area we were seeing and on the lake, on the whole lake as a whole, talking to other guys, we saw these pinks show up, and you and I talked about it one time. Where you had some knowledge about where they come from or how it works, and could you take a minute and just kind of lay that one out, because that's like I can't tell you how many people ask about it, and I know nothing about it, and
We
all
getting
guess.
drilled with questions about it, especially the pink salmon.
The pinks.
Last year was just, I mean, we've seen them caught a few here and there, handfuls of them at a time. But then last year, 2022, was just like a boom year for them. We saw tons of them. It was incredible.
Well, we had a couple state records were being
Illinois state records.
Illinois state
Yeah.
records were being
broken and rebroken.
It was a really interesting period. That's kind of like why I asked about the Coho, right? Because there was these times.
Yeah, why do you think we had
I'm leaving in the ally.
many pink salmon last
Yeah, and I wish I had a good answer. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, you're right. We had a lot of reports of more pink salmon, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. There's Canada or Ontario stocks a variety of them in the St. Mary's and places like that, but and they make their way around the Great Lakes.
Is there certain rivers, Todd, that is there any place on Lake Michigan that we have pink salmon that have kind of held, or do you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
So
Okay.
these are fish that have literally migrated across.
Some from
Isn't that crazy to think about that? Like you
I
said,
know.
in Ontario, they've come across all of that waterway. It's incredible.
The Menominee River had a really good run of them, and a bunch in the Peshtigo as well. And I know people that are driving from here up there just to catch them, because it's pretty cool to catch
Yeah.
a humpback pink salmon, and it was just something different. And I think people got a kick out.
Was
of it.
that last fall, Rob?
Yeah. There were a lot being caught out of the Menominee.
I guess it speaks to the idea that these fish and this ecosystem can just surprise us, and in some wonderful ways. With these runs where like we had the giant coho last year, then the amazing pink run, and then when you had like the uber big years of kings and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It keeps you on your toes, and I think for us when we do this podcast, it gets us excited about the next year. Like, what's next year? What's the big? What's going to be the big run? Is it going to be the year of the Browns? Is it going to be the year of the Lakers? Or what species is going to kind of tend to be the one that reigns supreme, if you will, in terms of just their numbers and size, and if a state record is caught, and I think it's a testament to the work you guys are doing to manage it, and with the stakeholders involved that are also at the table, and I think for our angling community that isn't involved, please get involved. Join these salmon clubs, the SU, Wisconsin, Illinois. You have the Arnie, and you have different organizations as well that can be involved. And I mean, pitch in, volunteer. If you can't volunteer, if you got a buck or two to spare, that helps to net penning and all these costs that go into it, so that we can all benefit.
Just go to a meeting, see what it's about. Everybody's pretty friendly, and if you don't know much about fishing, boy, that's a easy place to learn. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that want to talk there, especially in the winter. All that everybody talks about is fishing, because a lot of them are boat guys that boats sitting on the shore. It's not getting in the water. So, yeah, I encourage anybody to absolutely, and in the summer we always talk about it, where there's tournaments and stuff. Don't be shy. Go there. You learn an awful lot after a tournament. Everybody's floating around information, where they were, how they did it. So, yeah.
That is one thing I will say, and kind of Todd spoke to it, about it earlier in terms of uptick in salmon stamp sales, and meaning that there's more people fishing the lake. One thing I think we should make a note of is that in your inland fishing, right, walleye, bass, there's an element of secrecy, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing and where I'm at. It kind of is what it is. One thing I will say it was great about salmon fishing, by and large, the information is very accessible and people are willing to share because we're not all pressed to fish a small body of water. It's a big open lake, so people are more willing to, again, I was at this, I was at 4,600 here north, or I was off the hills here and I was this far down. So if you are new or looking to get into it, you're going to have a far better time just learning from people that are willing to share the information to get you out there and be successful, because there's plenty of fish. Todd, you guys, what's the latest stocking numbers? It's hundreds of thousands of fish you guys are putting in, right?
What was last year's Chinook? Just alone Chinook put in, Todd.
Yeah, and in 2023 we stocked 1.3 million.
Wow.
Just
awesome.
the Chinook. Stop and think about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The great thing about Lake Michigan is the secret spot at 8:00 in the morning. It's moved to somewhere else at 9:00. So your secret you don't get to hold it very long. So that's why I think, that's why information's, it's all over the place. You look at the internet, you'll find out where the bite is. And if you dig a little bit, you'll find out what the bite's on. It really is nowadays.
Yeah. Your network, we keep telling people it's your network of anglers that will help you be more successful out there and more efficient on the water. It always results in catching more fish when you have both of those. Todd, man, thank you so much for joining us. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to have you, just shine a light on the efforts you guys are making on our behalf, on the behalf of the resources as well, of course. I don't know if there's any final thoughts you wanted to share before we wrap things up.
No, I'm good. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm always open and honored to be able to talk to folks about the fishery that we all love and enjoy, and ideas for making it better for everybody. So thanks a lot for having me on the show. Really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you back in the future at some point as well. So, thank you. Arnie, anything else?
No, I think it's great. Appreciate your time, Todd. And, I think the big thing is this is, for as diverse the fishery is, there's a lot of facets that make it that way. A lot of work goes in. A lot of people don't see that, and a lot of people do a lot of work to make it what it is. So I think we're all lucky.
Very much so. So thank you guys for watching this episode of Lake Michigan podcast. I'm still sick. I'm going to try and get better. For Rob, Todd, and Arnie, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll also link down below to the DNR's website. You guys will get more information. We'll also link down to a couple of the clubs and as well some resources for you guys to check out if you want to get involved or help. Go tour a facility. Speaking of which, Todd, we would love to go and maybe film that film that process. If there's something like that we could work out, that'd be amazing to put up on our website or on the YouTube channel as well for people to check out and stuff. But so we'll talk about that in a minute. But that's it for us, guys. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode.